The WRC is back, and for the first time since 2022, it is back in Spain. I'm really looking forward to this one. Welcome to Rally Islas Canarias. And firstly, let's talk about the event itself. Rally Islas Canarias is a staple for European rallying. It was part of the European Rally Championship for the past while, and it is famous for having the mountain roads as well as similar kind of tarmac to what you would expect for Rally de Catalunya that we previously had for the WRC. It's got beautiful views. It's going to be celebrating its 50th anniversary next year, but it's got a 2-year deal, because this is the 50th anniversary of the first running. Next year will be the 50th edition, and this year is just going to be based around Gran Canaria. Next year is going to go outside of Gran Canaria to other parts of the Canary Islands. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this does on the WRC. And I would say so are our crews. Before we get into the Rally 1 runners, Jose Antonio Suarez was not able to get the Puma Rally 1 drive that he was hoping to be able to secure for the event. It was just there wasn't an available chassis in the end. But in the course car for the event is Alexei Lekanyuk. Lekanyuk is a standout athlete, Russian-born. He currently races under a Cypriot license. He is one of few Russian athletes who compete in motorsport who has disavowed Russia since their invasion of Ukraine. He openly decided to accept the Cypriot passport. He's had a Ukrainian co-driver for years, and even if you look back throughout his career, I think if you look back to 2014, 2015, he's had a banner that has been calling for peace in Ukraine. And he is a 2-time European Rally champion, 2020 and 2018, I believe, but he's also won Rally Islas Canarias multiple times and been competitive there. He'll be running the course car, the Hyundai i20N Rally 2. Starting off our Rally 1s, well, it will be championship order. Elfyn Evans will be the first one out the block. He's got a rally in hand now over second place Thierry Neuville, with Oyt Tanak in third. Then we have Sebastian Ogier, who's fourth on the road. Incredibly impressive. It's his second rally of the season after having won Rally Monte Carlo. Adrian Formeau will follow him, followed by Carlo Rovanpera, Takamoto Katsuta, Sami Pyeri, Gregor Munster, and then Josh McAlean. They round out our WRC top class runners. We're going to end up with, 5 Toyotas, 3 Hyundais, and 2 Fords. In terms of Rally 2 machinery, and I say Rally 2 because there are a lot of people entered for the Rally 2 machinery that aren't entered for WRC2. Lead of them is Oliver Solberg. He's not nominated this for one of his WRC2 point scoring rounds, but the lead person who has is Johan Russell, who won Monte Carlo. His brother Leo has also entered, as is Jan Cherney, Roberto Dapra. Romain Jurgensen is the lead Ford, with Dapra being the lead Skoda. Maxime Potti. Yuki Yamamoto is the lead Toyota in WRC2. Then we have Nikolai Gryajan, Emil Lindholm, both in the TalkSport entries. Matthew Franceschi, I believe this is his first WRC2 entry of the year. Matthew Franceschi was competing in the ERC last season. Hasn't won an event in the ERC, I believe. But he was so competitive last year. He was so wonderful, and he's made the step up. Dirtfish, if I remember, I can link it in the description down below. I've done an article about him and talking about how even though he's from a family of rallying drivers, he worked trades, so he would be able to save up his money to go rallying. It's a wonderful story. In terms of local drivers, that's led off by Alejandro Cajon, followed by Diego Riloba. Efren Larena, who we saw recently at the ERC, is going to be competing as well. And Diego Dominguez Jr. slots in the middle of the Spanish contingent. Dominguez is competing in 13 of the 14 WRC events this year in a spread of WRC2, WRC3 and JWRC events. He was a WRC3 champion last year. Luis Monzon, Yere Lemez, Roberto Blas Jr. are going to also be entered. We also will see Fabio Schwartz, the son of Armin Schwartz, the former driver, one-time winner for Toyota in the 90s. That was Rally de Catalunya, I think, that he won even. But you might know him as somebody who later in his career drove for Skoda and also for Hyundai in their first stint in the WRC. Yeah, we have Raul Hernandez. Robert Vevej is another person who's entered, but not for WRC2, as is Jorg Linnemar. Philip Allen will be nominating this for his WRC2 point scoring. You also have Antonio Forne, Hikaru Kagure, Roberto Rodriguez, Bulgarian Carlos Moreno Cordoba. We also have Giovanni Trontin, Juan Carlos Peralta, Uyghur Soyu, who has popped up time and again in the WRC. He's entered into the Masters Cup, as is Osamu Fukunaga, Maurizio Chiriani, and Juan Carlos Quintana. We will also see Rachele Sabashini, who I believe recently got engaged, so congratulations to her. Miguel Granados, Filippo Marcino, and Eamon Boland. Those are our WRC2 entrants for the event. We also do have another Rally 2 entry for Stefan Gottig down at the 67th seed. WRC3 will see 8 entrants, 5 Renaults, only 3 Fiestas. They'll be led off by Arthur Pellemorg, who won the season opening Rally Monte Carlo. Giovanni Rossi will be the 2nd seed. Matthias Chatillon, who you might recognise as the livery in EA Sports WRC, will be after them. Then you've got the 2 next generation Gazoo Racing entries for Takumi Matsushita and Shitaro Goto. Nathaniel Brun will be in a WRC3 Fiesta, as will Igor Vidwak, who I believe we saw recently at the ERC event. And then the other remaining WRC3 entrant is Jonas Perez Dota Santiago. We then round out our entry list with a series of Rally 4s and Rally 5. I say Rally 5 singular because there already is one. In the Rally 4s, we have Clios for Alejandro Martin Marrero and Sebastian Gilmartin. We have Peugeots for Norman Rancel Leonardo, Javier Cravellini, and Wolfgang Ilache. A Soul Corsa for Nikolai Gurtig. I did mention Stefan Gurtig is entered in the I-20. And then the Soul Rally 5, Zosimo Hernandez. In terms of the stages, they will be spread over Friday, Saturday and Sunday. We'll see 2 super specials over the course of the weekend. The shakedown is Santa Brigida, which is parts of stages that have been used in Rally Villa de Santa Brigida before. It is on Gran Canaria. Like I said, all of these are going to be on Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. But this has not, by the looks of things, popped up on Rally Islas Canarias before. So it's one that the locals might know quite well. Starting off the Friday loop, we will have 2 loops of free stages. The first one is Vasaquillo Telde, a 26.3 kilometer test that climbs up from at the start 555 meters of altitude up to nearly 2 kilometers in the sky. It is 1786 meters is the highest that I can find on rally maps for it, and the lowest is 407 meters. It starts off relatively few changes in elevation up until 8 kilometers. Then it's just a steep climb up through the hills and the mountains all the way up to the end of the stage. It looks like it's going to be fast, windy and twisty all at the same time in some spaces. The second test will be Valesco Altanara, and much like with the first test, both of them have run before in Rally Islas Canarias, but they haven't run to this same extent. Some of the roads are similar, some of them are different. This second test will scale up and over and go back down, starting at 1100 meters, peaking at around, well, just shy of 1600 meters before dropping back down. This one is going to be a lot twistier as well, around several notable mountains with peaks of 1500, 1600, 1700, 1800 meters from Mariscos, which it passes by. And then the third stage of the loop, La de la Mogan, is 17.8 kilometers. It starts off 260 meters above sea level, climbs up to 700 meters, drops back down to 300, climbs back up to 500, and then drops back down again. This one is a lot more twistier. It's going to be slightly faster though. It's just one that you're going to see a lot of turning, especially in that downhill part towards the end and some of the uphill part towards the start. Like the topography almost looks Rally Monte Carlo. Saturday's tests themselves will be quite fascinating. Some of them are very similar to previous editions of Islas Canarias, some of them are a bit different. Moya Galda is very similar to the previous test of Moya Valesco. The difference is that actually This version is slightly shorter. It has the same climb up from 450 meters above sea level to about 1200 meters, but then it takes a different turn towards the peak and then has a twisty decline down 200 meters over the final 4Ks. The ERC stage from last year was 28Ks. The Arcas Vigarastelur is a bit similar to some of the Friday tests in that some bits of it popped up before in Rally Islas Canarias, but some bits weren't necessarily the same pieces of road. You have to go back to 2015 to see the stage last run in the same kind of way. It's slightly longer at the start now, but this test is one that has a over 14k of stage, a slight incline, a gradual climb, and then a small drop off towards the end, again through some twisty hairpins. Tejeda San Mateo has not popped up as far as I can see, and this has data going back to the 90s in this form before. It's popped up as 3 or 4 different stages before. But this 23 kilometer test will go up, then down, then way up, then way down. This one looks really fast, and then at the start and in the middle of it looks a bit twistier. So you can expect, surprisingly, at the bit of lower altitude, the stage to be a bit twistier and a bit tighter, and then when it has the higher altitude changes, it looks a bit faster. Stage 13 of the event is probably going to be the most fascinating to some people. It goes through the Gran Canaria arena. It's called Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. It has been the rally opener for the past 3 years, and it goes through a basketball arena. Now, it is true that you can't win a rally on the Super Special stage, but we have certainly seen people lose a rally on the Super Special stage here before because, well, it's a basketball court. It's very slippery. We've seen people taking out the barriers and getting penalties, even though they're plastic barriers. We've seen people crashing in the arena. We've seen people stalling. We've seen people crashing going into or out of it as well. It's a beautiful spectator test, but the 1.8 kilometers doesn't tell you how tricky it actually is. Sunday has 5 stages of a total 60 kilometers and no service. The first stage of the loops is Aguimes Santa Lucia. It is 15 kilometers. The total elevation change is 351 meters, but it's one of those ones that has a typical kind of what you'd expect from WRC rallies in Spain, twisty and fast early on, and then when you get towards El Cardón, it starts to, as you get towards the valley, get very, very twisty. This is the test that popped up in Rally Islas Canarias in the same form as Stage 2 and Stage 5 in 2024. Which means that this is the stage that, as Santa Lucia in 2023, saw all kinds of different dramas as people were just getting caught out by the change in pace. The rally ending power stage, and also stage 15, is Maspalomas, which is largely popped up before in a rally of its own name, Rally de Maspalomas, where it's typically one of the openers for the event. It was last in Rally Islas Canarias back in 2013, and also made an appearance in 2012 and in Rally El Corte Inglés in 1997. The 97 one was the only one running in the same direction, and it goes down the hill towards San Fernando de Maspalomas, or the Maspalomas city itself, and it's right towards the south of the island. It looks like a beautiful descent, something that you would expect to see somewhere like Corsica. It starts off 600 meters above sea level, gets down to about 150 meters below sea level at the end. So it's just going to be one of those fast declines with some twists and turns and hairpins to throw into the middle of all of it. And then we have the one other super special in the middle of the Sunday, Costa Canaria. It's on a karting track. It last popped up in Rally Islas Canarias in 2012 and was used in 2012 and 2011 in a very different format. But it was the same format that it was also used in 2003 and 2002. and a slightly different format was used in 1997 and 1994. So the layout that is going to be used in the WRC is new. 1.5 kilometers again. It's a karting circuit, but as much as you can't win the rally on a Super Special, you can certainly lose a rally on a Super Special. Now, quickly, in terms of the weather, I am recording this a little bit in advance of the event, but from what I can see, the forecast shows 0% chance of precipitation over Friday and Saturday, with a peak of 14% on Sunday morning for the event. And that could factor in a little bit. Hankook will bring probably some wet tyres, and crews will probably factor a little bit into that. But it won't be as pronounced as we saw at Rally Sierra Morena, the ERC opener in Spain a couple of weeks back, where it ended up with the tyre suppliers taking trips out to Madrid to pick up more wet tyres because they didn't have enough wet tyres for the event. And building on talking about Rally Sierra Morena, 2 of our Rally 1 drivers competed there. Thierry Neuville and Elfyn Evans, Neuville narrowly beating Evans in the changeable conditions in southern Spain. And you could probably use that to say that they are 2 of your ones to watch. At the same time, tarmac event, you've got to keep an eye on Seb Ogier. He's just rapid. There's a reason why he took after the other French Seb as the dominant driver in the WRC. Takamoto Katsuta has a background in Formula racing before becoming a rally driver, and he could potentially show that prowess on the tarmac stages here. But Adrian Formeau has also been pretty good in tarmac rallies before. I mean, remember his debut in Croatia? That was absolutely wonderful. Nobody expected him to perform particularly well in his debut in a WRC car in Croatia, and he ended up getting, 5th, wasn't it? In the WRC2, I mean, I would say it's hard to bet against Johan Roussel or Leo Roussel, who was the French tarmac champion last year. They're in PH Sports short Citroens, so it's as close to works as you get. They are usually pretty good. At the same time, though, Nikolai Gryajan just absolutely dominated Sierra Morena, and it would be silly to necessarily bet against him here. Especially because when it comes to the kind of tarmac that you have in Islas Canarias, it is not dissimilar to Sierra Morena. It's not dissimilar to Catalunya. A lot of these events, the roads that they use, are typically pretty similar. At the same time, in WRC2, some of the local drivers like Alejandro Cachon are also drivers who can be in fantastic form in Rally Islas Canarias. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below, and do let me know what you think of this format, because I've done some longer form previews for the WRC events more recently, and I enjoy making them, but I don't want to be overboring you with all of these different details if you're not interested in them, so please do let me know. Thanks for watching, and until next time, it's bye-bye for now.